Well, it turns out the imagination theory was true all along. It was just connected to this abomination. What the heck is going on? So Pokemon Mega Dimensions DLC has been out for about a week, and we've got some very interesting story developments. Everything begins when we're met by a young girl named Dansha and her partner Hoopa. She's obviously the daughter of Diantha, which we find out a little more about later, but for the moment the inciting incident involves us helping her to make some donuts that allow Hoopa to access these weird distortions around Lumiose City. And that is when we're thrown into Hyperspace Lumiose, and oh my gosh, this place is so weird. It's a reflection of Lumiose City, and you can actually see the original up above, it's just that it's upside down. So that becomes the main gameplay loop. We have to access these distortions and explore the Hyperspace Lumiose, while eventually finding out that Ansha's true goal is to find a Rayquaza and give it to her mother. Along the way, we discover the origin of Hyperspace Lumiose, that being that it is a world created by the memories and dreams of everybody inside Lumiose, and on top of that, it turns out the whole thing was caused by Darkrai, which, yeah, I think I was able to guess that, when we as the player character start having nightmares about the Void Glitch, and hear a mysterious voice telling us to stay away. It turns out that Darkrai is just in Lumiose City and hanging out by Prism Tower when it got supercharged with Mega Evolution energy, and thus was on the brink of going rogue. In the process, it created these distortions that then lead to Hyperspace Lumiose, again, a world created by the dreams of everybody in Lumiose. And in the story, it ends up becoming very nice that dreams basically has two meanings, one being memories and the other being desires, both of which fit into Mega Evolution very well. And there are some main missions and side missions that give us an interesting glimpse at everything going on here. For one thing, obviously there are a bunch of brand new Mega Evolutions, but the language used here seems to imply that these new Mega Evolutions for the DLC were created either by Lysander firing the ultimate weapon 5 years ago, or the blast that was set off a few months ago by Hyper Rogue Floette in the story. The point is that the actual environments, and I guess the Pokemon that happen to be hanging around here, are all created by the dreams and memories of people inside Lumiose City. In one mission early on, we find a distortion with a single man inside it. He then gives us a letter and asks us to deliver it to the director of the academy, which is this woman right here, and we actually do meet her in the main story early on, when she needed our help getting her wedding ring back from a Sableye in the cemetery. So once we actually find her and give her the letter, it turns out the man that we met inside the distortion was actually her husband who had died years ago, and the letter tells her that his wedding ring was given to Tarragon to fix when they met, but that he never got the chance to get it back. So now after a battle with Tarragon, we're able to repay him, and thus return the wing to the widow, reuniting them both. So what we get from this event here is obviously that this guy was a form of him created from his wife who dreamt of him or remembered him, but at the same time we also see they have their own memories of when they were alive, because obviously this version of this guy in the distortion knew where his ring was, meanwhile his wife in the real world did not, and also it is kind of implied that they know they're dead. So in a way, Hyperspace Lumiose becomes this weird sort of afterlife as well, that we are able to take items and Pokemon from and bring back to regular Lumiose, but we have yet to try taking a person back, because otherwise maybe that would just technically bring them back to life in a way, I guess, maybe? Who knows, because if these people don't have a strong grasp of who they are, they just straight up have an existential crisis, not even knowing if they're real, as we see in the battle zones. It all culminates in a very insane reveal as when we finally get to the distortion to battle Darkrai, we're in a memory of New Moon Island, which by the way I really love how it looks, and here we meet AZ, who is accompanied by Floette, or at least his own copy of Floette, because we know Floette is still alive back in Lumiose, but obviously at this point AZ himself is dead, so there's a very emotional reconnection between our rival and AZ, who are now finally able to talk, because yeah, it was very sad when we didn't really get to interact with AZ when he was at the end of his life, because he stayed back in the hotel and when we returned from the big battle he was dead. So now it's a very nice moment as he gets to give us some encouragement and tells us how much he loves that we got to meet and so on. But yeah, yet again he knows that he is dead in the real world. And on top of that, he maybe kind of knows what this place is, I guess. There is a very interesting line where our rival states that this is a dream, and AZ agrees, but he also says that life is a dream. So then is Hyperspace Lumiose a reflection of not only our dreams, but our lives as well, and thus making it the afterlife? Yeah, man, this is getting really weird, but it's just extremely crazy that all this is created as well. Again, Pokemon, locations, and items all perfectly fine for memories, but the fact that deceased humans themselves are also preserved here? If anything, maybe it really comes down to the power of Mega Evolution, because again, the Mega Evolution energy was what was charged inside of Anja, and then caused Darkrai to create Hyperspace Lumiose unintentionally, but the point is we know that same energy, that same power is what was behind the ultimate weapon, or what it was before it was the ultimate weapon, a giant machine meant to bring Pokemon back to life. So combining the potential of that energy as well as Darkrai'S dream-based powers, it creates this weird world that is a mixture of desires, dreams, memories, and, dead people. Maybe it isn't too much of a stretch to say that some sort of afterlife does already exist in Pokemon, and that maybe Darkrai charged by the Mega Evolution energy was able to connect both regular life and the afterlife in this middle point that we now call Hyperspace Lumiose. That's at least just one thought, because otherwise, I would totally accept this as a world created by dreams, but again, just the fact that these deceased people can exist inside it, and even retain their own memories, having information known only to them. But backtracking a bit, maybe you could rationalize the guy knowing where his ring was as him being created by the memories of both his wife and Tarragon? Sure, I guess, if that makes any sense. But for the moment, looking at what we're presented with, this is exactly that, a world between life and afterlife. But at the most basic, yes, it is a world where dreams are manifested. As we see in the post-game of this DLC when we need to catch the legendary Pokemon of Hoenn, these sections of Hyperspace Lumiose are created because of Ansha really wanting to meet these Pokemon. So she, along with the Donuts, Hoopa, and Darkrai'S power that's still lingering, are all the driving forces to enter these sections of Hyperspace Lumiose and then catch the legendary Pokemon. And very interesting that it all comes together because we know that Mega Evolution itself has origins in dreams, desires, wishes, or whatever you want to call it. Because Rayquaza, the first Pokemon to Mega Evolve, was only able to do that because the Draconids wished for it. And realistically, wasn't that also a force behind AZ's machine? Yes, obviously he took the life energy of a bunch of Pokemon, but he really dreamt and desired and wished to be reunited with Floette. And at the core in the modern day, or at least when it comes to a trainer and Pokemon basis, Mega Evolution is possible because of their bond, which in a cheesy Pokemonified way could be referred to as making our dreams come true. I don't know, that's kind of all I got. I just wanted to talk about the spooky dead people that we got to meet in Hyperspace Lumiose because, man, what is going on? Darkrai was really cool, and I kind of like that it was incorporated into the story as well, but it is really weird that we just see Darkrai just kind of flip-flop between only causing bad dreams to defend itself, or just straight up being evil in other spin-off games, or even now being a victim and unable to control its own power, and potentially causing the collapse of reality itself if not for our help. So let me know what you think in the comments below about the discussion today. I guess maybe we could call it a theory, I don't know. I just wanted to yap about it and throw in some of my ideas of potentially rationalizing everything. So if you've got any cooler ideas, leave those in the comments. Anyway, I should be off and I gotta make sure that I get some good sleep this time around so I can have some sweet dreams and not ones of destruction. Thank you to every channel member for your continued support, including the Great Gators, Alex Switch Shiny Hunts, Koi13, Cemetery Hill, Cheez-It62, Gator Kid 509, TF, Mathaclog947, Taijirai, Phantom, and Quago. If you'd like to support, see your name here, get access to emotes for comments, live streams, sometimes early videos, join a members Discord, and listen to the podcast as it comes out, you can become a channel member today. You can also follow me on Twitter and Blue Sky as well for more memes. Anyway, this is GatorX, and I will catch you all later.
Ash, Dawn, and Brock came to enter a tournament.
I am so psyched!
But find themselves in their biggest battle yet.
What in the world is that?
Can Ash save the day, or will everyone just fade away?
This kind of blasting off we don't need!
Cartoon Network presents the U.S. premiere of the Pokemon Diamond and Pearl movie, The Rise of Darkrai. Tomorrow at 7 p.m. Can music soothe the savage beast? Only on Cartoon Network.